This song plays in one of the best moments in the entire show, and one of the best episodes in the entire show, and you're gonna give that song to Jeremiah and Belly? Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I am back ranking the most heinous criminal moments of the summer I Turned Pretty season 3. The finale just dropped, a movie was announced, and I am overjoyed to be rambling about season 3 today because I have 100 things to rank. So let's get the fuck into it. I'm keeping the same system and I'm making 2 addendums or changes to the tier names. So the second tier is now Jenny Han, You Are a Comedian, to encompass everything that is corny, embarrassing, and just silly. It has the same meaning as before, but like a little more. There's gonna be a lot in this tier this time. And then tier 1 is Belly Wake Up, because anything that gets Belly to wake the fuck up is going in this tier. And the first thing I have on this list that I want to get out of the way is Belly having slept with both brothers. Now this was not in the books. She was a virgin in the books, and in the show she's been with the both of them, which is fine. Like, yes girl, it's your life, your choice, we are modern women. Real funny, Jenny Han. That's the second tier. Jeremiah being in a frat, very on brand. Don't love frat boys. I did go to a PWI for college and I've encountered many of them, so this will go and stop. Next is Steven and Taylor being cheaters. So season 2 ended with them getting together, and then we jump 4 years into the future and they've broken up and they're with different people, but they're still hooking up. This was a change from the books. It was not in the books, so they just thought it would be a good idea for the show, and it was honestly not necessary. Like, we literally never meet the girl Steven was with, and we barely saw the guy that Taylor was with, so I don't understand why they had to make them cheaters, because, like, narratively, it wouldn't have made any difference if they were, like, casually seeing other people and just hooking up and not wanting to commit to each other. But they had to make them shittier people by having long-term partners that they're cheating on. Like, what the fuck? That deserves to go at the bottom. Then there's Jeremiah being a super senior and not graduating. It is completely normal and should be completely normal to take non-traditional paths for higher education, whether you graduate earlier, graduate later. Everyone's circumstances are different. To graduate late because you essentially were paying so little attention to the education that someone else is paying for, that you weren't reading emails, you weren't listening to your advisor, you were so out of the loop that you just didn't realize that you needed an extra class to graduate, that's on you. Like, that's going and stop, because that's kind of embarrassing. Our first top tier crime is Adam ripping into Jeremiah on the phone, and don't get me wrong, I still stand by the fact that Susanna and Adam are the real villains of the show. However, I do love when Adam's being a bitch. Second to last for the first episode is when Belly and Steven are out to dinner together, and Belly's complaining about the way Adam was talking to Jeremiah in the car on the phone, and Steven's like, well, to be fair, this was on Jeremiah. Like, Jeremiah never has his shit together, and sometimes it even bothers you. And then Belly tells him that, no offense, but you just don't know what it's like to really be with someone. And it pisses me off whenever a friend who's in a relationship, like, complains about their partner, tells you something shitty that their partner said or did, and then when you give your 2 cents thinking it's a safe space to share your thoughts because you guys are friends, they're opening up to you, they undermine your opinion because you just haven't experienced love like they have, or you just haven't experienced enough relationships. So that goes in stop. And lastly, for episode 1, we have Jeremiah sleeping with Lacey Barone in Cabo. That is bottom tier. I know it's heavily debated whether or not that was cheating. To be fair, he did say the words "we should end things," like, that is breakup language. However, to me, it's not really about the technicality of whether or not they were broken up. It's the fact that he kept that information a secret. It's the fact that he knew when they had their reconciliation that Belly understood that as just a fight and not a breakup, and he didn't think it was important to, like, tell her that. If you're hiding something like that, you know what you did was wrong and hurtful. And even if it was a breakup to the both of them, like, of course it's going to be hurtful to Belly that he moved on to Lacey Barone so fast. So that is going at the very bottom. First thing in episode 2 is the fight that Jeremiah and Belly had before Jeremiah went to Cabo, and the reconciliation afterwards, because they show us what really happened at the beginning of this episode.
Sorry if I want to have a little fun in spring break, and I'm sorry that I'm not some straight A overachiever going to med school like Conrad.
Oh my God, what? Please don't put your inferiority complex on me.
I wonder where that came from.
Well, didn't start with me, so maybe look at your dad.
Wow. Well, if you think I'm so stupid and selfish, then why are you even with me?
Someone's gotta start playing Man-Child by Sabrina Carpenter every time Jeremiah is in frame, because what the actual fuck? Jeremiah's just like belly stand up. That's going at the bottom. Then is the beginning of the Christmas flashback where Belly is in the cousin's beach house, and then she opens the door and Conrad is there, and she has chocolate all over her mouth, and he has a candy cane in his mouth, and it drops as he says Belly.
Belly.
The amount of people I have seen reenacting this online is so funny. Like, yes, this is comedy. This is comedy. Belly spending Christmas with Conrad, that's in the top tier because we are one step closer to Belly finally waking up. Belly falling while going down the stairs though, and Conrad having to help her up. Like, that goes in the second tier for the goofiness that is, because you know I love a clumsy girl protagonist. I love a clumsy girl Jenny Han protagonist. Is she really worth the attention of two men at the same time if she's not clumsy and actually does know how beautiful she is without even trying? Next is Jeremiah admitting that he slept with Lacey Barone twice. He says twice? That's crazy. Once is not a mistake to me, but twice is certainly not a mistake. That is a choice. And what's even funnier about this is that he said that he cried in the shower after it happened. And it begs the question, which time? And was it both times? Then we have Steven getting into his car accident, and I'm not going to put this at the bottom, which I know is going to be super wild to some of y'all, but I need you to hear me out. He made a U-turn in the middle of the road without his turn signal. Like, he caused it after forcing Taylor to talk about the relationship in the car when she didn't want to. And I say force because she's in a moving vehicle. She can't leave. Embarrassing. Like, that's kind of embarrassing. Conrad losing his job because of the accident, that is in the bottom tier. And then Taylor telling Belly to forgive Jeremiah. Listen, Taylor's great, but she gives really bad advice when it comes to Belly's love life. Because I would never tell my friends to get back together with a guy that slept with someone else after they had a fight. But also, Taylor is a cheater herself, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but that's going in stop. Then we have Laurel and John being MIA when Steven gets into his accident because they were too busy at their conference fucking. It's actually, if I'm being honest, like, really funny to me in a ridiculous way. Like, Jenny Han, thank you for the laugh, girl. Thank you. Lastly, for this episode is the proposal. Outside the hospital that your brother nearly died in is, and I don't use this word that often, diabolical. Perfectly leading into the first episode 3 crime, this ass ring. I am so for real right now, I'm not joking or lying to you when I say this. Every Wednesday when an episode would come out, I would have to avoid all social media at all costs if I want to not get any spoiler the entire day, because unfortunately I am bound to the shackles of corporate America until 5 p.m. Right. The day this episode came out, I opened TikTok and I saw the picture of Belly holding up her hand, and at first I unironically could not see the ring. I opened the comments and was like, what? And then I looked back at the picture and then I could see the ring. But like, comedy. This is comedy. The Summer I Turned Pretty is a comedy first, romance second. Taylor telling Belly that the engagement is insane, that's at the top. Even though Taylor did encourage the reconciliation, I want Taylor to take a win where she can get one, so that's going at the top. Then we have Conrad and Agnes running. I love Agnes, by the way. Wish we got more of her. And you know, I am a supporter of my close and personal friend Conrad Fisher, but I say this as someone who did do track and field, not claiming that I was great at it, just saying that once upon a time I ran competitively. This form is crazy. Why are they running like that? And why did the director not yell cut? This is so goofy. Next is Lucinda. Just Lucinda and her salon. Firstly, I could not care less about this storyline, but also Lucinda is a dumbass, because why did you trust your ex with all the finances of your business and never take a look at it or get someone else to take a look at it? What are you talking about? Also, why are you best friends with your child? You should not be your child's best friend. You should be their mom. She's going at the bottom. In the second tier, however, is Belly shaving her legs multiple times for Conrad. It's the day of Susanna's memorial, and Conrad said he wasn't going to make it, but you know, in the books, Belly literally shaves her legs multiple times just in case he shows up, and they actually kept that in, which I think is ridiculous in a funny way, because girl, how are you shaving your legs thrice for a man but you're engaged to his brother? Like, stand up. Even more ridiculous is Adam saying that Conrad misses having his little sister around, and then Conrad going, hey little sis.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. No.
Honey, really glad to have his little sister around again.
How you been, little sis?
That's wild and also very indicative of the fact that Adam's fucking clueless. Then Adam and Jeremiah ordering the most expensive food items on the menu because Laurel is paying for lunch. That's so rude, so insane. Then Belly telling everyone about the engagement even though she and Jeremiah agreed that they would wait to tell everyone and that they would tell Conrad privately first. Like, hello? What a mess that was, because they didn't even take one bite of their food before Laurel was like, nope, cancel everything, we are leaving. And then everyone left Conrad stranded at the restaurant to No Surprises by Radiohead, because they really, really needed a shot of Conrad outside of the restaurant during the lyric, "This is my final fit, this is my final bellyache." Crazy. That is in the third tier. Episode 4, Belly is working to save money for the wedding, and Jeremiah has started his internship at his dad's company, and it's Belly's birthday, and Jeremiah calls her and starts singing happy birthday from his office. The amount of men singing in the show, the amount of boys singing in the show is astounding. Also, he's fully in the staff kitchen singing this, and it's comedy. It's hard-hitting comedy. Then there's the Shin Ramen comment that Jeremiah makes to Adam.
Thanks again for this internship. It means a lot.
Well, now that you're gonna be a husband, lifeguarding probably wasn't gonna cut it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Belly's favorite food is Shin Ramen, so I think we were gonna be good either way.
You know what the worst part about this is? This man can cook. This man can cook, and he's like, my wife can eat Shin Ramen most of the time, it's fine. Bottom. Then after work, Jeremiah gets flowers and a cake and goes over to Belly's house. We're not going to talk about the fact that he drove from Boston to Philadelphia in like 2 hours, like under 2 hours, even though that's not even remotely possible. Jeremiah has the fucking bullet from Mario Kart, I guess. So Jeremiah's going over there to give Belly a birthday cake, but to also give Laurel flowers and convince her to get on board with the wedding. And he's not very convincing. He says, you know, you've always wanted me as a son-in-law.
Look, I'm just asking you to wait. Finish school. If you still feel the same way, do it then.
Laurel, come on. You know you've always wanted me as a son-in-law.
Not like this, kiddo.
I'm sorry, Jeremiah, you're delusional. Laurel has been Team Conrad since day one, so that is going at the bottom. And what's even more of a crime to me, the worst crime in the entire series, I feel personally victimized by this one. They play Heartbeats by Jose Gonzalez while Belly and Jeremiah are in the car. That song belongs to One Tree Hill and it belongs to Lucas and Peyton. This song plays in one of the best moments in the entire show and one of the best episodes in the entire show, and you're gonna give that song to Jeremiah and Belly? I wish I had one of those rubber chickens because I am not physically capable of making the sound I want to make right now. If it wasn't clear, I am putting that one at the bottom. Then there's Belly's squeak when Jeremiah is telling her that Conrad called the concept of them getting married and being engaged ridiculous.
He said that us getting married is a little quote-unquote ridiculous.
I don't know what that was, but that's in tier 2. And then there's Belly and Jeremiah making fun of Conrad. What are you making fun of him for? Where do y'all get off? He's in med school, and one of you is a nepo baby, and the other is giving up her dreams for said nepo baby. So, also Belly deciding to give up Paris, that's also in stop. And then Conrad making dirt bombs for Belly's birthday. That's the top. Anything to get Belly to wake up. For episode 5, the first thing I have listed is Jeremiah saying that he is constantly busting his ass at work. Ever since Jeremiah started this job last episode, he's been saying that he's busting his ass at this job. Like, he said it at least 3 times at this point, and I have yet to see that. Is the ass busting in the room with us? No, there is no ass to be busted. So that is going in tier 2. And now we're finally at the part of the season. The part where Belly has been going around cousins doing wedding planning stuff with Conrad since Jeremiah is at work, and she is in the car with a box of cupcakes, and she's super defeated at how expensive all this wedding stuff is, so she's not eating her cupcake. And then Conrad lets out his inner Schmidt from New Girl.
What? Isabel Conklin's not excited to eat a cupcake? Who are you?
I'm putting this in tier 3 because it's so like, I don't even know. I don't even know what, I want to read the original script. I want to know what the director's note was. I want to know what the original script was. Like, I I want to know whose choices this was. And then right after Belly calls Jeremiah and suggests an alternative to the cake he wants, we get cacao as the bean.
Slight change of plans. How about a 1-tier chocolate cake with milk chocolate frosting? No cacao, but you can still keep the raspberry coulis.
Belly, cacao is the bean. It's what chocolate is made of. Look, the whole flavor profile depends on the bitterness of the dark chocolate and the sweet tartness of the raspberry.
Again, this man can cook and bake. Like, he can make his wedding cake. I literally made the Conrad suggestion version of the cake within a morning, and I am an amateur baker. Why are we crashing out and suggesting going into $750 of even more debt for a cake? The peach scene, because this episode truly packs in so much, but the concept of the peach scene is cute, like Belly enjoying fruit and Conrad admiring her, but the lingering shots on the peach juice dripping all over Belly is what makes it more second tier to me. Maybe that's a hot take. However, Conrad wiping Belly's chin with his t-shirt, that's in the top tier, because do you see this expression here? She's waking up, and you know she's starting to wake up because she brought up the flowers in her mom's guest bedroom, which Conrad stayed in the last time they had sex. She didn't need to remind him of that. That's all I'm saying. And then the last thing I have for episode 5 is Belly and Jeremiah's Pulp Fiction dance. So Jeremiah comes home saying, "Honey, I'm home," first of all. And then Jeremiah says his dad is now paying for the wedding, so all of the business associates are going to be at the wedding. And Belly is like, "What the f? I don't want everyone at our wedding to be just strangers." And Jeremiah guilts her into that by saying that he just wants to please his dad, and he was happy to finally see his dad happy with him. So she's like, okay, fine. And then she says that she picked their first dance song, and it's a song that Jeremiah wanted their first dance song to be. And the song is You Never Can Tell by Chuck Berry. So they get up and they start doing the dance that Uma Thurman and John Travolta do to this song in Pulp Fiction, which is gonna go in tier 2 because Belly, you have to stand on business, girl. This isn't the wedding you want. Episode 6 begins with Jeremiah and Belly waking up on a blow-up mattress on Adam's floor. But as you see them talking in bed, you see someone pulling a dress on the side of the frame out of frame, which I think is super hilarious. So I'm putting that in tier 2. After the day with Conrad, Belly starts staying in Adam's apartment with Jeremiah, and apparently she's making messes everywhere. The entire apartment is dirty because of her, and she's been leaving her hair in the shower. Girl, that is your father-in-law. What are you doing? Like, why are you being like this? This goes in the 3rd tier. So Jeremiah and Belly later go apartment hunting, and they see a place they really like. But of course, when you apply for an apartment, you have to have a not shit credit score, right? And the leasing agent tells them everything that they need to put together and submit and show them. And Jeremiah asks if paying your credit card bills late affects your credit score. Sir, how are you about to be a husband? Like, Belly, you want to share assets with this man? Bottom. Also, Belly not eating because she's so stressed? Bottom. And then Conrad convincing his ex's mom to go to her wedding to his brother? That's top tier, because Belly, go get your man. Then later we get a scene between Taylor and Lucinda where Taylor is complaining about Laurel and how she still isn't supporting the wedding. And then Lucinda says, well, Laurel's always had a stick up her butt, and then brings up the fact that Laurel overreacted when Lucinda was taking care of Belly and Taylor when they were like 12 or 13, and Lucinda had a couple drinks and then got pulled over, like driving back with them in the car, which is fucking crazy to me, because first of all, don't drink if you're going to drive. Don't drink if you're going to drive your kids. Don't drink if you're going to drive someone else's kids. Like, I don't think it would be overreacting to be mad if you put your child in another adult's care and they get pulled over by a cop and they had been drinking and your kid's in the car. Like, that would probably make me livid as a parent. So that is going at the bottom. And then also Lucinda at Belly's bridal shower gifted Belly lingerie, which, like, is a weird gift for your best friend's mom to be giving you. Like, why are you treating your kid and her friends as your friends? That's weird. And, like, more Lucinda slander. She calls Taylor Tatey Tot, and in making this video and also the previous video for seasons 1 and 2, it dawned on me how many fucking nicknames there are in this show. There's so many. There's Bells, My Bells, Belly, Bean, My Little Bean, Steve-O, Stevie, Connie, Suze, Lore, Beck, My Laura, Jer Bear, Cameron, B, J, D, Jules, Tay, Tay-Tay, Taty-Tot, Belly Button, Cinderbelly, Kill a Bee, Sunshine Boy, D-Nice, Conrad. Like, I feel like I'm performing shitty slam poetry. The nicknames itself in this show should go in the third tier as well. More hating on the parents. Adam is in the car with Jeremiah and Conrad later after they go suit shopping, and Jeremiah and Adam are making gross jokes about Belly's friends being hot and how Conrad should hook up with one of them at the wedding. That's going at the bottom. And secondly, Adam bringing Kaylee, the secretary he cheated on their mom with, to the wedding. That is also going at the bottom. What episode does he die? And then Conrad says he wants to stop by the Conklin house and catch up with Steven. And then Jeremiah, knowing that Belly is also at the Conklin house, tells him that Steven is actually not in town, even though he is, so that's going in stop. And what episode does he die? And then, of course, the surf accident incident, where Belly is finally waking up. False God is playing, Conrad is serving sad wet cat realness, and Belly almost kisses him. I send this picture of Conrad from the scene to my friends whenever I mean to say, who are you? Episode 7, the Bachelorette, the bachelorette party episode. 2 days till the wedding. The first thing I have listed is Conrad's leg cut changing direction completely. It was a horizontal cut at the end of episode 6, and the beginning of this episode it's all of a sudden a vertical cut. So apparently the budget for this show went entirely towards Taylor Swift instead of towards the wages of someone who could have been in charge of continuity. So that is going in tier 2. Another thing that's going in tier 2 is Jeremiah arriving for the wedding with wedding favors, and he brought beer koozies, Smirnoff, and Takis. That is how you know this man is a frat boy, and it's embarrassingly tier 2. Then Denise arrives, and Steven formally introduces her to Taylor, and I haven't really said anything about Denise so far, but she works at Adam's company with Steven and Jeremiah, and she and Steven have interest in each other, so she's at the wedding because all the business associates and employees at Adam's company are at this wedding, and she goes to Taylor, and Taylor says, I'm Taylor Jewell, MOH, and Denise goes, Denise Russo, MBA, which I thought was actually so funny, so I'm putting that at the top.
Sorry. You remember Denise, right?
Yeah, we haven't officially met him. Taylor Jewell, MOH. Denise Russo, MBA.
And now we've got the reception dances. Someone commented on my last video saying they weren't prepared for the amount of teenage boy dancing, and honestly, like, ever since I saw that comment, I've been like, what the fuck? There's too much boy singing and boy dancing in the show. Like, where is the line? Also, can I just add that this dance the boys are doing, Denise is supposed to be in place for Belly. Like, they're supposed to hump the floor in front of Belly, and one of these guys is her brother. Like, hello? And then later, the girls are at the bar. Firstly, Belly apparently only has 2 friends, but Annika realizes that Belly has only ever been with the 2 brothers, so she asks the real question and says who's better, and then Taylor also asks the real question and asks who's bigger. And honestly, those are the questions that any friends should be asking. That's in tier 2. But the bar giving the girls 10 free shots of tequila on the house, not realistic, tier 3. Then Jeremiah being weirdly, creepily possessive of Belly to Conrad.
You don't have to worry, Con. Belly and I, we're gonna take care of each other now. We're getting married. She's my family. You get that, right?
Meanwhile, Belly is fully getting way in her head after realizing Conrad was the one who convinced her mom to come to the bridal shower and the wedding. So she smokes for the very first time in her life and makes the hardest edit of Conrad in her head to We Can't Be Friends by Ariana Grande. That is comedy geniusness, honestly. But then Belly crashing out in the bathroom after this happens and saying she only ever pictured Conrad at her wedding, that's in the top tier because she is awake. Conrad finding out about Cabo, like, look how pissed he looks. Hell yeah, tier 1. Taylor calling her mom pathetic and needy, tier 1. Hell yeah, Lucinda needs to be stopped. And lastly, for episode 7, Conrad's beach confession. Free her.
I'm sorry. It's not about any of that, Belly. It's... Fuck, I still love you.
Free her from Jarawanka. Do you see Belly right here? She has never been more awake and more alive. Belly wakes up after Conrad's confession. She's going through it. Conrad in the morning is sticking by his confession, and he's a little delusional.
You think you're just gonna drive off into the sunset with her? That she's just like gonna blow up her whole life just because you suddenly remember she exists?
Yes.
Which I love for him, honestly. That's tier 2. So it's the day of the rehearsal dinner. The wedding's the next day. And at the rehearsal dinner, Belly finds out that Jeremiah took a full-time job with his dad without consulting her first. first, which is funny because he is planning to just take classes online while working this job, even though he had Belly give up Paris so they could be together, when he could have just taken classes online and gone with her. That's going in stop. But my favorite part of this is Conrad is within earshot of this conversation happening, and I just love how much he is enjoying it. So that's going at the top. And then Jeremiah's speech about Conrad at the rehearsal dinner.
Like most brothers, sometimes we're best friends. And other times, well. But man, you're loyal as hell.
That is so awkward. Everything Jeremiah says to Conrad leading up to the wedding feels like a threat. So finally, the night of the rehearsal dinner, before they go to bed, Belly tells Jeremiah about Conrad's confession to her. And so the next morning, the morning of their wedding, Jeremiah has disappeared. So of course, everyone's like, Conrad, you fucking asshole, which goes in stop, to be honest, because if Belly and Jeremiah were really a secure couple, Conrad's confession would not do anything to them. So I'm just saying it's not completely on him. But then Conrad, he goes and finds Jeremiah. And can I just point out for a second here, he is driving, looking for Jeremiah, wondering where he is, and then he makes a U-turn in the middle of the road, except he looks in his rearview mirror, and then he uses his turn signal. I just think that Steven could learn from that. That's just something I want to point out there. But he goes to his mom's memorial garden, and that's where Jeremiah is, and then they start fighting.
Did it make you feel noble giving her up for me?
I know about Cabo, you dick. So maybe I should be the one asking you if you love her or not. Ah! Okay, good. Can we go now?
Conrad calling Jeremiah out at the top. Jeremiah hitting Conrad twice. That's in stop, because I think, okay, Conrad did confess his love to his brother's fiance, right? One slap to the face, sure. To hit him twice, once in the face, the other in like the groin? No. That goes in stop. Then Susanna and Laurel accidentally switching Susanna's letters for the boys' wedding day. That, honestly, Jenny Han, you're a comedian. Also, Susanna's letter is just diabolically funny because the fact that she, in the letter, is like, Conrad, I've only ever seen you in love once, and goes on to describe how in love he is with Belly. I just imagine that if he didn't end up marrying Belly, the day of his wedding, he's like, I'm gonna read the words of my deceased mom. And then he opens the letter and his mom is just reminding him of the first girl he ever loved. That is tier 2. And then Taylor clocking Belly's tea goes in the top tier. I wish Taylor had called out the codependency of Jeremiah and Belly's relationship so much earlier. She truly waited till the last second, but you know what? Better now than never. Someone needed to tell Belly that she had completely lost herself in this relationship. Then second to last crime for this episode is when Jeremiah comes back to the wedding venue. He admits to Belly that he picked a fight with her right before Cabo and then slept with Lacey in Cabo because he found out that she had spent Christmas with Conrad and she didn't tell him. Mind you, Belly and Conrad didn't do anything together. Also, it wasn't pre-planned for them to spend Christmas together. They accidentally ended up at the cousin's house at the same time. Should Belly have told Jeremiah? Absolutely. Is it borderline emotional cheating if not actually emotional cheating? Sure, yeah. Should you communicate that you're upset like a normal fucking person? Also, yeah. Like, what do you mean? And then lastly, Jeremiah calling off the wedding. Top tier. What a mess. So much of a mess that Belly immediately gets the fuck out of there. She gets the fuck out of the USA. She does not want to even be in the same trunk prefix as the boys. So she immediately goes to Paris. She couldn't get the Eiffel Tower that she wanted, so she's going for the real thing. Without a visa, though, which to be honest, no one ever really clears up the visa situation for the rest of the series. It's just a mystery. She just shows up without really anything, without much of a plan, so that's in stop. Meanwhile, back home, Jeremiah is drinking himself into an oblivion, and Redbird is trying to get him to hook up with someone random at the bar. Like, sir, he was in a relationship 12 hours ago. Can you chill? His focus should not be on hooking up. It should be on sobering up, because he also tried to give away his mother's ring at the bar, and that's going at the bottom, because I know that ring could buy him at least a few 2-tier Mary Glaze cakes, at least. And Taylor switching to Team Conrad, she's kind of the only one that really acknowledges that it's not completely on him. And honestly, I love that for her. Someone's got to be reasonable here. Belly is sort of having the worst day of her life, though, because the study abroad program tells her that there's still a spot for her, so she goes all the way to Paris. And then when she goes to their office, they tell her that they gave her the wrong information. And I don't know why she didn't advocate for getting some kind of compensation for this. Because personally, I would have been like, okay, so you're paying for the ticket I bought to come here, right? And you're paying for the ticket for me to go home. But then we proceed to watch Belly chase her backpack around Paris for the rest of the episode. And was it necessary? No. Was it goofy? Yes. Then back at home, Taylor finally tells Steven about Cabo, but his reaction is so underwhelming.
Jeremiah slept with Lacey Barone over spring break.
Jeremiah cheated on Belly. I have been cleaning up that guy's tears for the past 24 hours, and he cheated on my sister with Lacey Barone. Who the fuck is Lacey Barone?
I mean, technically they were broken up, but yeah.
Wow! Are you... Meanwhile, these fuckers are out here passing judgment on us? On us?
Firstly, turning the situation back to him and Taylor. But also, why is he feeling all high and mighty about the situation when he was the one who was also pining after Taylor since he was in high school? Also, 7 episodes ago, he was telling Taylor to break up with her boyfriend to be with him in his car. Also, both of them are cheaters. Like, how are y'all less messy? Also, the way Jeremiah talked to Laurel, the disrespect. Adam also being completely clueless about everything until Conrad told him.
I told her I loved her.
Who?
Belly.
Why the hell would you do that?
Because I love her.
Oh.
Shit.
Honestly, I'm obsessed. I aspire to be as out of the loop and blissful as Adam. And then lastly for episode 9 is Jeremiah and Belly's phone call where Jeremiah tries to get back together with Belly and then is a bitch to her when she says no. Jeremiah needs a therapist, like deeply and desperately. Like, you called off this wedding, man. Episode 10, Belly is actually freed from Jeremiah and is living her best life, her best single girl Paris life. She's become fluent in French, she's working and taking online classes, she's made friends, and she's getting some much needed growth, and honestly, I wish we got to see more of it. So that's going in tier 1, and then Jeremiah living on Steven's couch. I don't know, man. Just like, I guess this is better than living with his dad, so it'll go in tier 2. But Jeremiah is still a cheater. So at the beginning of this episode, we've jumped ahead to Thanksgiving and they're hosting a Friendsgiving at Steven's apartment, and then Jeremiah is making out with this girl, and then a guy walks in and sees them making out, gets angry and walks out, and then the girl leaves too, implying that Jeremiah was two-timing them both. That's going at the bottom. Adam then crashes the Friendsgiving and cuts off Jeremiah, and this isn't going at the bottom because I think Jeremiah does need some independence from his dad, and leaning on his friends before he completely does that is a good thing, because he needs to grow, and he's not going to grow if he keeps using daddy's money. But still, why is Adam there crashing the Friendsgiving of some 20-something-year-olds? Like, what? So that's going in the 3rd tier. Jeremiah moving in with Denise, though, top tier, because to be honest, I think Denise is capable of pushing Jeremiah without sacrificing parts of herself, but also in my head, I know they end up together, but in my head, Denise is a lesbian. You can't convince me that she wasn't meant to be a lesbian, so in my head they're like a sapphic himbo duo, and I love a sapphic himbo duo. So I'm editing this video right now and I realized that there's something I forgot to include, and I have to talk about it. When Jeremiah moves in with Denise, he starts opening up to her about how hard the breakup with Belly has been for him, and he tells her that his breakup with Belly is worse than losing his mom. And I imagine that for some people who don't talk to their parents or aren't on good terms with their parents, that's true. But considering he and Susanna are close, that feels a little wild, and I'm putting that in the 3rd tier. And then also Conrad's letter to Belly and him sending her junior mint. We love a consistent man. A man who yearns is a man who earns. Belly and Benito, honestly tier 1, because I think her fling with Benito pushes her growth in the right direction. Like, she is having experiences outside of these boys. She's doing things she wouldn't have done before. Again, I wish we would have seen more of her Paris era, because then it wouldn't feel so much as though she's just going from relationship to relationship, because timeline wise she isn't. This is months and months after she and Jeremiah break up. So yeah, I wish the Paris era was longer. That's going at the top. And then also Taylor and Conrad being friends. At Christmas, Conrad mentions that Taylor is the only person that really texts him back and gives him updates, which is cute, so that's going at the top. But Steven not reaching out at all, that's in the 3rd tier, because now that he knows all the context, why is he going above and beyond for Jeremiah, but he can't be bothered to just text Conrad every now and then? It's crazy to me that anyone in this show is like that to another character, because everyone is insanely messy. No one has a leg to stand on. Then Adam stops the fun running of Denise and Steven's company, which is going in stop because Adam is once again proving that he is the villain and continues to do so. And then the last one for episode 10 is the reconciliation between Conrad and Jeremiah. T was clocked. Out of all the changes, or out of all the additions that they made to the show that weren't in the book, this is one of the best ones. It was needed. It was needed, so it's going at the top. Now we are at the finale, and we have the least amount of things to rank in this episode, the first being Chef Jeremiah, and that actually goes at the top because we love to see a bum unbum himself, and they had been showing Jeremiah's culinary skills throughout the whole show, so it's good to see him do something that isn't with his dad or for his dad or to be like his dad. However, may I just point out that this further proves my earlier point that he could have just made his own fucking cake instead of suggesting that he and Belly go into more debt for it. Insane. Third to last is Adam suggesting that he, John, and Laurel go on a singles cruise because those are 24/7 fests, according to him. At the bottom, because why are you suggesting this to your ex/deceased wife's best friend and her ex-husband? Yep, that's some book lore, by the way. Adam and Laurel dated first, and then Laurel introduced Adam to Susanna. And ever since I learned that, it's really made a lot of sense why all the shit with the kids doesn't really faze any of the adults. But Adam? Horny jail. Second to last is Conrad coming to Paris for Belly's birthday. The tension between them at Belly's birthday dinner was great, proving just how much more chemistry they have. All the callbacks to season 1, Chef's kiss, and then obviously, lastly, Belly and Conrad finally get together. That's at the top, because if it wasn't gonna happen, what was all of that yearning for? What would that all have been for? When she ran after him, I was raising my hands like Jesus had resurrected himself before my eyes. I will say it was kind of unsatisfying for it to just end when they got together, because I know there's an epilogue that's completely missing that was in the books, but I guess that will be in the movie because Amazon Prime Video greenlit A Summer I Turned Pretty movie. So I don't know what the conflict will be, or maybe it'll be just like 90 minutes of fluff. Who knows? For now, I am free from this show. I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it and watching the show, even though I had to hear Cacao is the bean like a broken record all summer long. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.